Hello and happy Tuesday. My name is Wendy Lee, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the US. And so happy that you joined me today in my CreativeLeeYours studio for a little bit of paper crafting fun today. Yay! I'm just a couple minutes early. I had to retest my technology because I've struggled the past few days with a few events. So making sure we're all good today. So, all righty. So what do I have in store? You guys excited? We're going to do a fun fold today, but it's a pretty easy fun fold, I think. So let me bring it in. Is this not cool? This is called a curvy pop-up. And this is the fun fold that I'm going to show you guys how to make today. So we are featuring the Bloom Where You're Planted product suite. This is the suite that we are featuring this month, December, for the All-Star Tutorial Bundle. I love the All-Star Tutorial Bundle. It is a collection of 12 video tutorials, and there's a group of us that come together globally and write these for you. And they're in both metric and imperial. So if you, no matter where you live, you have the sizes that you need to recreate the projects. And there are some pretty nice design ideas there and some good learning. So it's definitely a great tutorial bundle to get your hands on. You can get it for free from me when you place a $50 or more order in my online store. You can go right to CreativeLeeYours.com and click on the Shop 24/7, and that will get you right into the store. Place an order with me and I send it to you as my gift, or you can purchase the tutorial for $15. It's entirely up to you. All right, so let me go ahead and switch our camera over, make sure I'm in the right place, and let's get some crafty fun going. All righty, so make sure I can see everybody. Oh, yay, Jean's here. Glad to see you. Amelia, glad you're here as well. All right, so again, we are going to feature this Bloom Where You're Planted suite. The designer paper to me steals the show for this product suite. It's just got some really great designs. It's got lots of great little plant images, which I'm going to show you that we're going to cut right out of the paper. And then you've got these great backgrounds on the back sides of everything that can be used as well. Now, of course, you can use some of these other plant side as backgrounds as well, but I really like cutting into those. Some really nice color combination. And this is in the annual catalog. So these are still available through early May. I want to say the catalog ends May 2nd. So this is the time of year that I like to have you guys, even though we've got, 5 months, a little over 5 months left, 4 months and some change left in the catalog. Start stocking up on the items that you love out of the annual catalog, because you want to get them before that retiring list comes out, because then they sell out really super quickly. So, all right, there's the designer paper. And then, of course, the fantastic Plentiful Plants stamp set and coordinating. Let's make sure I got the name right. Perfect Plants dies. So these dies are great because they're going to cut out some of your stamped images. And then there's some dies that are standalone as well. And we'll look at some of those as we go. Yay. Oh, hey, Barbara. Hey, Kay. So glad you guys are here. Oh, yes. Jean, the tutorial, the All-Star tutorial is absolutely fantastic. It does have some really wonderful projects in it. Okay, so this is the top of our curvy pop-up when it's upright, and then it will fold completely flat. Look at that, to put right into the mail. And it's not too bulky. I've shown you some others that are a little bit bulky. This one doesn't have to be, and I just think it's wonderful. And you can do so many things with it. And we're going to decorate the back, and there's a nice space for you to be able to write something. You could leave this off if you needed a little more space as well. Nice. All right, let's get started with this one. So I'm going to slide this over and bring in my card base to start off with. So I will go back after the video's over and add the complete supply list. So you've got everything that you need. You can just pop right in, click on the links, and purchase the items that you need if you don't have everything that you want to be able to recreate this project. I'll also have the cut dimensions so that you can just jump right in and start cutting and make this today if you want to. All right. Hey, Tammy, so glad you're here. So I'm starting with a thick basic white card base here, and this is just 5.5 by 4 1/4. And I'm going to do the back first, just because I've got so much going on the front. I just want to go ahead and add those layers right to the back. So I've got a piece of basic white and a piece of cinnamon cider, and I'm just going to adhere these layers right on. And I like to use Stampin' Seal. So that is the adhesive of my choice. And I'm just going to lay this right down in there. Great. And we'll repeat this on the second one because I've got two pieces. Now I could have done this as a full piece right across the back and not split it in two. That would have been fine as well. But my pieces are the same size. These little panels are the same size on the front and back. And so I just thought it might be a little easier. So if you want to change this up and you don't want this as two panels on the back, make this all one piece. That's fine. All good. It's whatever you want it to be. All right, move that out of the way. And I am going to eyeball, and I'm looking at my three edges to see if I can get them somewhat even. Yes. So is everybody's week off to a good start? I sure hope so. Can't believe Christmas is going to be here before we know it. All right. Yeah, I wanted to move away from Christmas today, do something a little bit different. All right, cute, right? So I'm going to go ahead and flip that over, and let's go ahead and do the decoration on the front. So first I'm going to put these lovely panels in. So I've just taken one of the kind of a wood grain paneling piece. You know, there's some beautiful plants on the back, but we're going to use this little paneling right here. And I'm going to adhere this right on to my cinnamon cider layer, just like we did the basic white on the front. And like I said, there are so many great backgrounds in this designer paper pack. There's a cinnamon cider brick wall. There is a gray granite brick. It's a little larger of a brick looking. There's something that kind of looks like a terracotta type wall going on as well. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to score this. I was supposed to score this in half. That's okay. We can score it now if I can find where I put my Simply Scored. Oh, I got to go run down the hall. I moved it to the kitchen. That's crazy. Well, I can do it with my paper trimmer. I'll do it with my paper trimmer since it's handy dandy and right here. I can't believe I forgot to score the piece first. It happens. All right, so first thing, because I know you can only see this upper section here, is I want to make sure I do not grab this cutting blade. So I'm going to move my scoring blade up top. Excuse me. Now, this is 5.5, so I'm going to score it in half. So 2 3/4. Now, I could have just folded it in half and not scored it, but I'm going to score it. And of course, it's going to be a little more difficult because, did I even get it? Nope, I'm going to have to go get that Simply Scored tool, I think. Is it in there? It is in there. I think it's too thick. So this is where you're supposed to score your pieces before you put your layers on. Let me try this. I may have to just go get it. No, I'm going to have to go get it. Darn it. Or let's do this. Let's try this. See, all else fails. We'll figure it out. I'm going to fold it in half. So 2 3/4, or you can fold it in half, just like I did. It's okay. All good. Card base is there. Hopefully I'll remember to score the other pieces as we go here. Yes, I know, Jean, that's terrible. Sometimes we just forget steps. And then I realized, whoops, that needed to be scored. I guess we could leave the back of it flat, but it wouldn't stand up as well. So that's why it's folded or scored. But it's fine that it would be folded like that. It's not as nice of a fold without it. That's okay. But it's okay for this to stand up like that. It's doing exactly what we wanted it to do. All right, I'm going to bring that trimmer back in. And I'm going to score my next piece before I put it together. I'll remember that, right? Okay, so this one is 4 1/4 by 2.5. And I'm going to score it at 3/8 inch on each side. And then I'm also going to score it at the center, which is 2 1/8. So I could, again, fold this in half and do it that way if we wanted to do that, but let's go ahead and do our ends. And I like to, when I'm using my paper trimmer, I like to put as much of the cardstock against the trimmer base as possible. So I'm actually sliding this over to the left of the channel as my trimmer is oriented. so that I am at the 3/8 inch mark. Again, I want to make sure I don't mess with that cutting blade. I'm only pulling in the light gray, which is my scoring blade. Okay, so you can see that. So I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to rotate it and repeat that right on the other end, 3/8 of an inch. And I prefer using the Simply Scored when I'm doing something like this, but since it's down the hall, we won't worry about it. All right, so I could just fold this in half or I can score it. I'm going to go ahead and score it. And so in half for me is 2 1/8. Now, because this only goes out 1.5 inches, you can see I put it this way. So I'm looking at the measurement this side. I hope that's not confusing. It can be a little confusing sometimes. All right, let me go ahead and fold these just so we can see this nice and easy. And one more. All right, great. So we've got our panel here. And let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and adhere these little Cinnamon Cider brick wall pieces right onto my layer. Yes, I made this card, well, a few weeks ago. So I posted this a few days ago on my blog. This was part of the All-Star Tutorial blog hop. This was my project for that. So I did also do a fabulous fun fold in the tutorial bundle. It's a little more involved than this fun fold is, but it's spectacular, I think. Definitely one you'll want to get your hands on. All right, so let's go ahead and add some tear and tape on the ends of these tabs here. It doesn't have to be tear and tape. I prefer to use a little bit of a stronger adhesive when I'm doing something like this, just because this is going to have a little more wear and tear with a little action on it. Let's go ahead and taper these ends off. You don't have to do this, but sometimes I get a little crooked when I'm scoring. And so this will allow me to hide those tabs if I'm not quite perfectly straight. All right, now I do want to run my bone folder along this tape, make sure that's nice and secure. I find it's a little easier to get off if I do that. I'm going to take this paper off. All right, now we want to fold these tabs back. I'm going to align the bottom of this edge with the bottom of these panels. You could go all the way down. It doesn't matter. It's entirely up to you. But that gives me a nice line to align it to. And then I want that center fold line to line up on those two pieces. So again, I'm going to lay this down. I've got the bottom of that Cinnamon Cider lined up and that center fold lined up. And I'm just going to push those side tabs, put my bone folder in there and get that little pressure. Nice. So there's that part of the card base. Cute. I love it already. All right, next piece. So I've got another strip of Cinnamon Cider cardstock, and I am going to score the ends at 3/8 of an inch as well. So this is 6 1/4 inches long, and it's about 1.5 inches wide. Again, I'll put the actual measurements in the video description after. That way I'm not telling you incorrectly on any of these. And again, I'm just doing each end at 3/8 of an inch. Okay, now I want to add some texture to this. So my two favorite embossing folders to use with this particular product suite is the Timber 3D as well as the Bark 3D embossing folder. So we're going to use the Timber, and it has all kinds of wonderful wood grain texture to it. Because it's a 3D folder, it leaves a nice deep depth. Now you're going to see when I put this in here, it sticks out a little bit longer than the folder. That's okay, because those are my tabs. They're going to fold back, so they don't need to be embossed. Now, if you're using our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, this may hit. So I would rotate it. Normally, I would always say to put your folders in on the fold side first, so that if it does any skewing, it's not going to break the folder. But you may need to do this one on the side. Okay, so let's go add texture. And so then we have this, and you can see I still have those tabs, the score line, and you can see where the embossed edge ended a little bit before the end of my paper, which is fine, right? We don't care. All right, let's go ahead and add our tear and tape to this as well. And I'm going to do the same thing and angle cut those little ends. Just again, so I don't see them so easily. Now, if you wanted to, you could wrap this to the back instead of the front. But if you do that, you definitely would want to make your back panel pieces a little bit wider to cover that edge. I think it's a little nicer on the inside for this particular one. Ooh, sorry about shaking the table. I'm getting a little crazy here. Okay, you headed out. Oh, sorry, got to run. Okay. Thanks, Kay. I'm glad you were able to stop in. We'll catch you soon. All righty. Get those ends tapered. And we'll just pull those edges off. Okay, now I'm going to work one side first. And on this one, I want to go all the way to the bottom of the card and the outer edge. So I'm just going to align it with this corner. Hopefully I'm in camera here so you guys can see what I'm doing. All right, so that one is aligned right in that corner. I'm going to rotate it. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now this will sit flat. So between the score lines is 5.5. So the whole card goes down flat. So it makes it easy for placement. So let's take our bone folder and run that along that tab just to make sure that's down really good and secure. All right. Now, if I wasn't going to add texture to this piece here, I would have run my bone folder along this panel to soften this edge a little bit. Because you want that paper to go ahead and curl easily when you stand the card up. Does that make sense? I hope so. I didn't need to do it on this because since I've textured it, it does kind of break down those fibers already for me. So I didn't have to do anything with that. All right, next, let's go ahead and do our sentiment. So I'm going to slide this over. So I've got a scrap piece of paper and I'm using a sentiment that says, "You were there and I am very grateful." Oh, really? My computer just shut down. All right. Well, I can't see your comments, but I know you guys are still there, so I'm not going to worry about it. I will try to go back if I miss any comments, if you guys have questions. So I only want to ink up this grateful sentiment, part of the sentiment. So I'm just going to use some washi tape. You can use painter's tape. You don't have to do it this way, but this is called masking. And I'm just going to tape off a little bit of the letters here, a little bit of the sentiment. You could do the whole thing, but I'm not going to because I just need it enough that I'm not going to get ink beyond this sentiment here. I want to make sure I've got all those letters covered. So I'm going to bring in my Evening Evergreen ink. Let's go ahead and bring in a foam pad just because we're dealing with photopolymer. Can't hurt us to have that, whether we need it or not. Okay, and then I'm just going to watch where my washi tape is because I don't want to go beyond the washi tape, but I'm trying to just ink up the word grateful. Now, super important to remove that washi tape before you stamp your image. So let's go ahead and pull that off. If you don't remove the washi tape, you're going to have a nice blob that stamps. So not only will you have your lovely sentiment, but you'll have some extra stuff. Now, I also made a little bit of a mess on the corner of that block. So I need to be really careful, or I can just grab this towel that I happen to have over to the side and wipe that off first. Can be a little messy, right? And then we'll just stamp our grateful right down. And now I can go die cut this out and have a beautiful little sentiment here. So I love that we can pull the words that we want out of our sentiments by masking. Such a great technique. All right, so I'm going to use the Ornate Frames dies. These have been in the catalog for a while. I do love them. So I'm going to grab this one here and we're going to go ahead and give this a nice die cut. All right, so there's my sentiment. I'm going to go ahead and start with my sentiment on here and then we're going to fill in our plants. So let me grab my dimensionals. We got to put some dimensionals on the outside here, right? Just a little bit. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm just going to lay this you know, you can kind of position it wherever you want. It could be centered. It doesn't have to be centered. You could put it up a little higher or a little lower. I don't think that matters. It's whatever you like. All right. So let's go ahead and start building our plants. All right. So let me pull in my die so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and do the back first. So you can see on the back, I've got this nice little planter with these two little plants in it. So what I've done is right out of the designer series paper, I used this die to cut out the pot. And I changed the plant up this time versus my original sample. And I used this die to cut that one out. I flip it over so it aligns. Okay. And then I had a piece of Just Jade cardstock. And I cut that out with this die. So 2 pieces of the designer paper and one of them is just cardstock. Okay. Pull those out of the way. And we'll go ahead and build this. So I'm just going to start with a little bit of Stampin' Seal on the top upper portion, maybe, of this lovely potted plant. And I'm going to slide in this plant here. And I like it hanging over the front. It adds some fun, doesn't it? And I'm just going to tuck this one in front of it along that edge. Cute, right? All right. So let's go ahead and put some dimensionals on the back and we'll pop this up. I'm going to use a couple. I want to straddle those little pieces just because it's such a narrow little join in the way that those are cut out. And then let's go ahead and just add a couple up on the leaves as well to make it a little stable, a little more stable. How about that? Should we add one more? I don't know if it needs it, but it sure wouldn't hurt anything. Maybe I'll do one more. Can't have too many dimensionals, can you? All right, perfect. Make sure I'm not upside down. I don't know about anybody else, but I do that all the time. So I'm going to check to see where I'm at. Actually, I think this one I'm going to put on this side. So I want to make sure I don't go past the outer edges, but I do love it when the design element crosses the borders of these little panels. I just think that adds a nice fun touch to it, a little interest, right? So since this plant hung out a little bit more, I flipped it to this side instead of this side. I like it. All right, now let's do the fronts. So you can see I've got this one. So let's start with our back layers first. So again, I'm going to bring back in these dies and show you what I did here. So for this first plant, I actually cut this pot out of another pot on the designer series paper, and I used that die there. And then I cut another one of these out of Evening Evergreen cardstock with that die. So lots of fun with the dies. And let's go ahead and put a little adhesive. Now you can use liquid glue if you prefer instead of Stampin' Seal. You could use glue dots. It's whatever you like to do. I probably should use liquid glue so I'm not getting everything so sticky beyond where I want it sticky. All right, so we're gonna put a little bit of liquid glue at the bottom of this pot here. I didn't pop these up, and the reason I didn't is because I really wanted to make sure that this folded flat, right? I want to make sure this is going to go right down into my envelope without any problems. So just give that a little push there. Cute. We're already off to a great start. All right, next, the next set of plans. So I've got these 3 pieces here. And so again, I cut some of it out of the designer paper. So that one's out of the designer paper. The pot is out of the designer paper. And then I used this piece here to cut this little planter out of some Early Espresso cardstock. You guys liking this so far? I hope so. All right, let's be a little more careful about our glue and put just a little liquid glue on the back of this plant or front of this plant to go onto the back of this pot. Okay. And then I want to take this planter and I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid glue on the upper section of it and adhere that down to the pot as well. Kind of eyeball where it looks like it's sitting right in the top of that planter. Cute, 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 cute. Now, let's see, should we make this one flat? What did I do in the original? I didn't, I popped it up. So I popped this one up. Should we pop it up? I think we should. Might need to scooch that plant. I'm gonna scooch that plant down just a little bit if I can, if my glue's not dry. There we go. Make it just a smidge shorter. Because I need to make sure that it's not going to stick out past the top of this card, right? Otherwise, it's not going to fit in an envelope, and I really want it to fit in an envelope. So we're going to put a couple of dimensionals. Whoops, stuck to my fingers. This is what happens when I use liquid glue. It makes me crazy. Oh, good. You liking it, Jean? I'm so glad. All right. So we'll pop this one in here, making sure that the dimensionals are placed so that they are not going to stick out. I have to go down a little bit, come up a little bit high. So I'm clearing this top edge here, and my dimensionals need to not stick up past the back side, right? I don't want anything to stick to the back of this card. So I got to watch that adhesive placement. Cute, 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 cute. All right, let's add a large potted plant on the right side here. You could pop this up. I'm going to do this one flat. And again, I'm watching my side here. Now I fussy cut this right out of the paper. It looks like I got a little crazy here. So let's just trim that off. It's okay if it's a little shorter than what it was intended to be, because I got a little crazy with my cutting. It's all good, right? All right. So I want to go ahead and adhere this down. And again, I'm going to watch to make sure I'm in the outside. I'm contained inside the card, I guess you could say, so that it will fit into an envelope. So we'll just put a little liquid glue on the pot. Perfect. So this one, I find that this product suite was a lot of fun to play with all these. It is a little tedious with all the little pieces, but they are so much fun. And you don't have to do it this way. I just really liked it. You know, I love all the variation that's created with the designer paper. You can mix and match the stamps with the papers. You can cut out different things from the papers, different shapes. I just think it's a lot of fun. All right, next set of plants. Again, cut directly out of the designer paper with the dies. So there's this one, and oh, that I fussy cut. That one is not a die, I don't think. Oh, no, it is. I lied. I didn't mean to. There we go. So those are cut out of the designer series paper. So we're going to hook these together as well. So let's bring in our liquid glue. Just a little bead here at the top to join those two pieces together. Now you could fussy cut all of these out if you don't have the dies. I think it's a little harder, but that's okay. You could do it. Ooh, that's liquid glue and I just don't get along so well, do we? I try. I promise I try. Okay. It'll be nice and stable once it's dry. I just don't have the patience for that. All right, a little bit of glue on the bottom of the pot. And I'm going to place this, and I'm going to kind of go over towards the side here, down a little bit. Give that a little push, let that dry. So I'm kind of staggering the plants is what's going on here, because I want you to be able to see all of the fabulousness that's going to be going on here. All right, next, I've got a little succulent that was fussy cut out of the designer paper, and then this little pot was actually cut out of another pot with this cute little die here. Little bowl. All right, so I am going to just kind of hold those together and flip them over. And I'm going to put a couple of dimensionals towards the bottom, and the dimensions are going to be what holds those two pieces together. You could use a little bit of glue, but I think I'm a little bit over this liquid glue. It's making me crazy. Now, I'm going to double check. It looks like I've got a little bit of an edge sticking out of my dimensional, so I can just kind of take my scissors and angle cut that and clip that off to get that part that's sticking out of my way. Okay. And then this little pot is going to go just right by this one. Just want to make sure the dimensionals are on this panel because you don't want it to stick on the back there. Cute. So doesn't that look like you've got like a little garden scene going on, or you've got some shelves inside the house? Cute, cute, cute. All right, let's add a little bit of bling, jazz it up just a smidge. So I'm going to bring in my genial gems. I think that's the right way to say them. Jean, I'm practicing. And we're just going to sprinkle on a couple, right? So let's put one there. And how about one more? I like to work in odd numbers. You guys know that. You could sprinkle some up higher as well. I just decided to leave them here on this front band and not go too crazy on the rest of the card. It's got so much interest and texture between these prints and the texture we've added here and all the colors and the plants and the pots. I just think it's just gorgeous. So isn't this a fun thank you card? Wouldn't you love to get this in the mail? I think I would. So much fun. And again, you mail it, pop it in the envelope, they take it out. It stands up super easily. You can write your note that can sit on the back so that they can still enjoy this all year long, really. Put it on display and enjoy it and think of you every time, right? Love it? I love it. I love it. I love it. And it doesn't matter which plants you use. You pick the ones that speak to you, right? They're all fun. Well, I hope you guys, if you don't already have the Bloom Where You're Planted product suite, that you go ahead and grab some of those items before the catalog ends early May. You know, it's a great time to gift some of these products to friends and family. If you need a gift certificate, let me know. I do those as well, right? Can't believe Christmas will be here anytime. Just a few weeks. All right, thank you again. If you enjoyed the video, please share it with your crafty friends. If you're watching it on replay, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I hope to see each and every one of you next Tuesday for our next paper crafting fun. I might be bringing out some new products from the upcoming January to June. Yes, January to June mini catalog. Maybe, we'll see. All right, thanks and bye for now.